Okay, so title here, and we're at 3 o'clock according to my time, so I'm going to try to move quickly through these. I know some of you told me you had to jump off the call early, but those of you who can hang, I'm going to go ahead and go through this resume and also jump into KSAs. So hang out with me, and we'll definitely be finished before 3:30. Manage this project. And you see that it was quantified, and that's extremely important in your resume. So many times people are very vague about what they did, and often people are vague because they really undervalue the contribution that they're making in their job. So in this case, of course, she knew, how much her budget was, but sometimes when I talk to people who are, let's say, software engineers who have helped develop these very complex computer software systems, they really don't have an idea of the monetary value that they're contributing to that. They don't know how much money that system saves their company, or how much additional money that system makes their company. And those are things that you should really try to get to know, the numbers behind what you do, whether you're in a direct position that generates a revenue for a company or not. You should really try to understand that. So I'll get off my soapbox about that, but please do quantify as much as possible. Specified it was a 3-year grant. She specified the amount. There was another one here. Obtained $100,000. So really throughout, she really quantified as best as she could where those were. Those quantities that she could name were. Then you also have education specified. You do actually specify your high school on federal resumes, and then any additional qualifications that you have, any awards. Military people tend to have lots of awards and commendations to list, but don't overlook yours if you're not military. There may be things that you have overlooked. There may be other certifications, and those should all be utilized when you're applying for your resume. So it may look like a pretty boring-looking resume compared to private sector, but guess what? It works, and that's what they're looking for, because they really just want to know that you can do the job. So they want a lot more detail about what you do, demonstrating that you have the skills to do so. And the paper resume is, you can make it prettier and, outline things, but for online purposes, you want to keep it as simple as possible and keep your formatting very clean. So kind of here's a sample before and after statement of some bulleted statements for a position, as well as then a federal version of those statements. And if you notice, one, you just have your bullet points in the highlights. She did quantify the amount of the budget, the square footage of the facility, but in the federal example, really stressing the action that he led various complex accounting projects, and then the detail on that, and more detail on that, and more detail on that. Produced volume budgets, line rate analysis, inventory control, costing, blah, 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 blah. Now, those things some of those may have been in the announcement, which is why they were specified, but typically you do want to give as much detail as possible when you are writing a federal resume. Federal resumes tend to be 3 to 5 pages versus your 1 to 2 page private sector resume. So now on to the wonderful KSAs. And so I guess I missed a slide because that's critical, key number 5. Your KSAs, essays, and questionnaires. Every vacancy is not going to have KSAs required. I think I can hear the choir singing, hallelujah. But they may have other ways that you still have to demonstrate your experience. Remember, the federal hiring process is part application, part interview. So if you have questionnaires, It may be that you have a series of questions to answer, and they're multiple choice that you go through and you answer those questions. So on one hand, you might think, well, that sure beats writing a bunch of KSAs, but let me just show you an example of what the questionnaire just might look like. Let's see here. That's not what I want. Bear with me. I want to show you this example of a questionnaire so you can see it for yourself. Okay, let's see if it's in here. Ah, it's a PDF. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So some vacancies have KSA requirements and some have questionnaires. So in the questionnaires, it's still after the same thing. They want to know your knowledge, your skills, your abilities, what accomplishments you've had that are relevant to the position that they are seeking to fill. So this one kind of goes into, and actually the very first part is cut off, but there's plenty here that you'll see. The accomplishments. The question is, in this part, relate to fundamental competencies, blah, blah, blah. They want you to answer A for yes, B for no. So some questions refer specifically to work experience. So looking at those, and they explain, some questions, if you do this, you do that, answer all to the best of your ability. So he went in and kind of hand-marked through the questions. You'll see like a little handwritten B here, handwritten A here, okay, and the other marks throughout there. So asking specific questions. Have you successfully done work that involved deciding which blah, blah, blah? Have you successfully done work that required you to do this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Now remember, this is not KSAs. This is questionnaire, right? So how many do you think there might be? Well, let me just keep going. Have you successfully done this? Have you successfully done work that regularly involved interacting or coordinating? Since high school, have you done this? Have you participated in post-high school activities? Have you devised a strategy? Have you successfully reviewed and evaluated forms? It keeps going. And my screen moves a little faster than yours, but I'm at 49 already. And it keeps going. So let me cut to the chase and show you. "83 questions. So hopefully your screen has caught up with mine so that you can actually see that. 83 questions as opposed to KSAs. Let me tell you, it took so long for us to go through these questions that I would have rather written the KSAs. So I just wanted to share this with you to show you that it really is part interview, and they're determined to get this interview done one way or another. So there was always this banner back and forth between, the different